The enemy that ruins most men is not the sword of others. It is the softness within themselves. In a world where power devours the weak, your weakness is not a flaw, it is a signal to predators. In this video, I will show you how the very traits you cling to for safety are the chains that will drag you into ruin. Power does not collapse because of external assaults. It decays from within. A fortress does not fall when the walls are high, but when rot has already eaten its foundations. So it is with men. They boast of strength, of virtue, of principles, yet a single weakness, unchecked, indulged, excused, becomes the silent assassin. In the theater of power, mercy, honesty, fear, or even love, if not disciplined, are weapons turned against their master. Today, we unravel how your own hidden fractures can betray you, how your softness becomes another's strategy, and why the greatest danger you face is not the enemy at your gates, but the treachery sleeping inside your soul. Weakness is not invisible. It is a scent. Like the smell of blood in water, it attracts those who are hungry for power, those who seek advantage, those who are willing to devour you the moment you falter. Ask yourself, do you imagine that predators choose their prey at random? No, they circle. They test. They press until they sense hesitation. The lion does not chase the strongest antelope. It goes after the one limping, the one too slow, the one that looks back too often. So it is with men. History shows us this pattern again and again. Think of the Roman Senate, whispering and plotting, watching Julius Caesar rise. They did not dare move when he stood in full command of his legions. But the moment they believed he sought the crown, when ambition exposed him and left him politically vulnerable, they struck. His power was real, his armies loyal. But weakness is not always the absence of strength. It is the appearance of being open to attack. And appearances matter more than reality. What is weakness in human terms? It is hesitation when decisiveness is needed. It is the inability to disguise your emotions when others are watching. It is the desperate need for approval, which makes you dependent on the very people you should control. Each of these traits announces itself, even when you think you are hiding them. Your rivals see it, your enemies feel it. And your allies. They notice too, and they begin to question their loyalty. Psychology confirms what power has always known: people instinctively test boundaries. Children push against their parents. Soldiers test their commanders. Citizens test their rulers. If you allow even the smallest breach, if you reveal a fracture in your armor, others will not respect your restraint. They will exploit it. Your weakness does not earn you mercy, it earns you pressure. Consider this in your own life. Have you ever noticed how one act of softness in negotiation emboldens the other side? Perhaps you offered a concession to appear fair. What happened? Did they honor your generosity? Or did they push for more, sensing that your willingness to bend meant you could be bent again? Weakness is never isolated. It multiplies. It is an invitation written in silence, in body language, in tone. Think also of leaders who allowed pity to guide them. King Henry VI of England was a man of gentle spirit, but that gentleness left him powerless. His kingdom fell into chaos because every rival saw him as unfit to rule. His weakness was not forgiven. It was seized upon, until he became little more than a puppet. Contrast this with his rival, Richard of York, who cloaked even his vulnerabilities with the appearance of strength. The people feared Richard, they pitied Henry. Which of the two held power? Now, you might say, but is weakness not human? Do we not all carry flaws? Yes, but the Machiavellian truth is this: weakness can exist privately, but never publicly. The private man may tremble in fear, but the public man must stand like stone. The private man may doubt, but the public man must speak with certainty. The world does not grant you the luxury of showing softness. If you reveal it, you are not admired, you are marked. This is why predators rise so easily in environments of fear and insecurity. They scan for the hesitant, the uncertain, the dependent. And once identified, those individuals become pawns. The ambitious flatter them, manipulate them, strip them of resources and dignity, until they are hollow shells kept alive only to serve another's climb to power. Ask yourself, in your circle, in your work, in your family, who plays the predator and who plays the prey? And more importantly, where do you stand? Are you the one circling or the one being circled? If you do not decide, the answer is decided for you. Weakness is a choice once recognized. You can mask it, you can sharpen it into strength, or you can indulge it and wait for the day someone exploits it. And that day always comes. Because power is never wasted. Those who see an opening will take it. They do not hesitate. They do not pity. They strike. So remember, this weakness is not harmless. It is an invitation, an open door, a quiet signal to every watching eye that you are ready to be used. The question, then, is simple. If weakness attracts predators, what do you believe happens when your so-called virtues, your honesty, your goodness, your mercy, begin to resemble weakness? Men cling to virtue as if it were armor. They imagine honesty will protect them, that mercy will shield them, that fairness will earn them loyalty. But virtue is no shield. It is often a mask that blinds its wearer more than it protects. Ask yourself, has goodness ever saved a man from betrayal? Did fairness ever stop an ambitious rival from seizing the throne? Or has virtue, more often, marked its bearer as naive, ripe to be deceived, manipulated, and replaced? Look at history. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, was a man of wisdom and virtue. Yet his kindness to his son Commodus led to Rome's decline. His mercy blinded him to his heir's corruption, and that mercy destroyed what centuries of conquest had built. Virtue did not save the empire, it weakened it. Consider another. Savonarola, the Dominican friar of Florence, preached purity and godliness. He believed virtue alone would protect him from the corruption of politics. Yet his sermons earned him enemies, and when he refused to wield force, those enemies lit the fire that consumed him. His faith in virtue did not shield him. It made him powerless. Here lies the cruel truth: virtue in isolation is weakness. The honest man is admired from a distance, but exploited up close. The merciful ruler is praised by his subjects, but undermined by his ministers. The just leader earns applause, but applause does not stop a dagger. Why is this so? Because human nature is not shaped by virtue. It is shaped by desire, fear, and self-interest. People will praise you for being good, but they will not protect you for it. They will honor your honesty with words while silently plotting how to use it against you. Psychology reveals the same. When you reveal yourself as consistently honest, others stop fearing your unpredictability. They test you, knowing you will not lie, will not retaliate, will not play their game. When you show too much mercy, others learn they can wound you without consequence. Your goodness does not disarm them. It disarms you. Think of your own life. Have you ever told the truth, believing it would win you respect, only to find it used against you later? Perhaps you revealed weakness in a moment of honesty. And that weakness became gossip, became leverage, became ammunition. Or perhaps you forgave someone who wronged you, believing mercy would earn gratitude, only for them to wrong you again, with even less hesitation. This is why rulers and leaders who survive are those who cloak their virtue in cunning. Virtue must be practiced in appearance, not in full exposure. Show mercy, but only when it strengthens your control. Speak truth, but only when it benefits your position. Display fairness, but never so much that it undermines your authority. For here lies the paradox: people want their leaders to appear virtuous, yet they respect only those who can wield cruelty when needed. They praise honesty, but they follow strength. They demand mercy, but they obey fear. Virtue wins hearts, but power secures obedience. Take Ferdinand of Aragon. He wore the mask of religion, presenting himself as the defender of the faith. But beneath that mask, every move was guided by calculation. He expelled rivals, consolidated kingdoms, and expanded his empire. His piety appeared pure, but it was always tied to strategy. People adored his virtue, yet it was his ruthlessness that preserved his throne. What lesson should you take? That virtue is a performance, an illusion, a weapon in disguise. It should be displayed, but never believed in too deeply, for once you believe your own mask, you become its victim. And yet, most people will refuse this truth. They will cling to honesty, thinking it noble. They will cling to mercy, thinking it divine. They will cling to fairness, thinking it unshakable. And in their clinging, they will be undone by those who smile, nod, and strike without warning. The world does not punish you for cruelty as harshly as it punishes you for weakness disguised as goodness. Better to be feared for strength than pitied for virtue. Better to wear the mask of honesty than to live enslaved by it. For in power, masks matter more than faces. So I ask you, if virtue is no shield, then what becomes of the man who cannot let go of it? What happens to the one who clings to truth, even when deception would save him? The most dangerous enemy you will ever face is not outside your walls. It is not the rival who plots against you, nor the stranger who envies your power. It is the enemy within, your own weakness, your own indulgence, your own quiet betrayals of yourself. Men speak often of betrayal. They fear daggers in the dark, poisoned cups, hidden conspiracies. But what they fail to see is that most men are conquered long before their enemies ever move against them. They are undone by their own nature. Ask yourself this: who has harmed you more, others or yourself? How many opportunities have you ruined, not by sabotage from outside, but by hesitation, fear, or reckless desire? How many battles have you lost without ever meeting your opponent, because you had already surrendered within? History leaves us countless examples. Consider the fall of Byzantium. For centuries, Constantinople stood as a fortress, the greatest city in the world, shielded by walls no army could easily breach. But when the Ottomans came, it was not simply the cannons that brought those walls down. It was the rot within. Political division, corruption, complacency. The city's greatest enemies were not the soldiers outside the gates, but the weakness festering inside. Or take Cleopatra, a queen of charm, intelligence, and immense resources. But her indulgence in passion clouded her judgment. Her alliances, built on seduction rather than cold strategy, left her vulnerable to Rome's ambition. Her heart betrayed her crown long before Octavian's armies sealed her fate. What destroys rulers, leaders, even ordinary men, is rarely the sword. It is their failure to master themselves. Psychology confirms what power has always known. Humans are their own saboteurs. Fear leads them to retreat when courage was required. Greed blinds them to traps laid in plain sight. Lust draws them into snares they could have avoided. And guilt, that most useless of emotions, makes them hesitate to strike when striking is the only way to survive. Look closer at your own life. Have you ever failed, not because another outsmarted you, but because you did not discipline yourself? You procrastinated. You hesitated. You revealed too much. You trusted when you should not have. The trap was not set by others. You built it with your own hands. Understand this: your rival does not need to attack if you are already attacking yourself. The ambitious watch and wait, letting you dig your own grave with indecision, indulgence, or misplaced compassion. Why waste energy destroying you when you are doing the work for them? Think of rulers undone by pride. Napoleon was feared across Europe, but it was not Russian snow alone that destroyed him. It was his arrogance, his refusal to accept limits, that drove him to overreach. The greatest general in Europe fell, not because others outwitted him, but because he refused to master his own ambition. And is this not true in smaller lives as well? The man who cannot control his tongue ruins alliances with a careless word. The woman who cannot master her emotions becomes predictable, easy to manipulate. The worker who cannot restrain his envy sabotages his own progress by wasting energy hating others instead of building power for himself. In truth, the enemy within is the most patient of assassins. It whispers to you in comfort, urging you to delay action. It convinces you to forgive when vengeance was required. It persuades you to trust when suspicion would have saved you. It is always on your side, until it isn't. Until you look back and realize that your greatest defeats came not from what others did to you, but from what you allowed yourself to do. So, how do you defend yourself against this silent assassin? You must become ruthless with your own nature. You must interrogate your motives, strip away illusions, crush indulgence before it grows. You must study yourself as carefully as you study your enemies, because you are both. The man who masters himself is feared by all. He cannot be baited because he controls his pride. He cannot be seduced because he governs his desires. He cannot be broken because he has already broken his own weakness before it broke him. But the man who fails at this, he walks willingly into ruin. He carries the enemy within his chest, feeding it every day until it grows strong enough to hand him to his rivals. So I ask you, what greater danger is there than being your own betrayer? And if you cannot conquer yourself, how can you hope to conquer others? Because when your weakness becomes your ruler, you do not need an enemy outside. You have already been defeated. But there is another danger more subtle still. What happens when others recognize these inner weaknesses before you do? When they turn your own nature into their weapon against you? Kindness is not always seen as kindness. Often it is seen as opportunity. What you believe to be generosity, others interpret as weakness. What you intend as compassion, others register as leverage. This is the brutal truth of human nature. People do not respond to your intentions. They respond to what they can take from you. Ask yourself, have you ever offered someone help only to find they returned not gratitude, but greater demands? Did your kindness satisfy them, or did it encourage them to ask again, to push further, to treat you not as benefactor, but as resource? This is the danger. Mercy does not tame the ambitious, it excites them. History offers clear lessons. Consider Caesar once more. When he defeated Pompey's forces, he offered clemency to many of his enemies. He thought mercy would secure loyalty. Yet many of those spared men turned against him again, plotting, conspiring, waiting for his guard to drop. His kindness gave them time to regroup, to sharpen their daggers. And in the end, it was men he had spared who struck him down. Or look at Neville Chamberlain, the British Prime Minister before the Second World War. He believed diplomacy, patience and concessions would satisfy Hitler. But his kindness was not read as strength. It was read as fear. And fear invites aggression. History did not remember Chamberlain as merciful. It remembered him as naive. Kindness becomes exploitation when it is predictable. When others know you will forgive, they sin without hesitation. When they know you will be generous, they take without limit. When they know you will tell the truth, they lie with confidence, for they know you will never match them. Psychology reveals why. Humans adapt quickly to what they are given. The first favor feels extraordinary, the second feels generous, the third feels expected. By the fourth, it is not kindness anymore, it is entitlement. And once people feel entitled, they do not thank you for giving. They resent you when you stop. Think of your own life. Have you ever been generous with a friend, a colleague, a lover? At first they praised you. Then they assumed you would continue. Eventually, they demanded it. When you tried to pull back, they grew angry, as if you had stolen from them something that was theirs. Your kindness did not buy loyalty. It bred dependence. And dependence quickly transforms into contempt. This is why the wise ruler disguises kindness within control. Yes, give, but give strategically. Yes, forgive, but only when it strengthens your image. Yes, show mercy, but never without making the receiver fear what would have happened if you had chosen otherwise. Think of the Borgias in Renaissance Italy. Cesare Borgia was ruthless, but when he showed kindness, it was calculated. He pardoned only when it terrified others into submission. His mercy was never free. It was a currency he spent to secure power. People admired his generosity precisely because they knew he could just as easily destroy them. This is the difference. Kindness without fear is an invitation to exploitation. Kindness with power becomes respect. And yet, most people misunderstand this. They give blindly, thinking generosity will earn affection. They forgive endlessly, believing mercy will build loyalty. They reveal too much, thinking honesty will inspire trust. But all they do is provide tools for others to use against them. Your rival will study your kindness as carefully as your weakness. They will notice that you always yield when pressured with emotion. They will notice that you cannot refuse a heartfelt plea. They will notice that guilt rules you more than ambition. And once they know this, they can control you without ever lifting a blade. For manipulation thrives not on your cruelty, but on your softness. It does not strike your armor, it tugs at your heart. And when the heart rules the mind, the crown falls from the head. So I ask you, do you believe others see your kindness as noble? Or do they see it as exploitable? Do they love you for it, or do they use you for it? Look closely. The answer is already in how they treat you. Kindness is not protection. It is risk. And if you do not wield it carefully, it becomes the very chain your enemies use to bind you. But there is one path out of this trap. What if you could turn your weakness itself, your kindness, your flaws, your softness, into strength? What if you could weaponize it, mask it, or transform it until no one could use it against you again? Is the final step we must now uncover. Weakness does not have to be your death sentence. It can be your weapon. If you are ruthless enough to reshape it, disguise it, or turn it against those who would exploit it. Most men are slaves to their flaws. They deny them. They excuse them. They hope others will forgive them. But power is not built on hope. Power is built on transformation. Ask yourself, what if your greatest flaw could become the very thing that disarms your enemies? What if what they see as weakness is not a chain, but bait? History offers its lessons. Take Octavian, who became Augustus, the first emperor of Rome. In his youth, he was frail, sickly, underestimated. His enemies mocked his delicacy, believing him unfit to command legions. But Octavian turned perception into a shield. He let others underestimate him, while he quietly wove alliances, bribed armies, and dismantled rivals who thought him harmless. His so-called weakness became the disguise that carried him to absolute power. Or consider Abraham Lincoln. His melancholy was no secret. He suffered deeply from bouts of despair. Yet he harnessed it, transforming his sorrow into profound empathy, his introspection into patience. What might have broken another man became the very foundation of his ability to command loyalty and navigate civil war. This is the ruthless alternative. You do not hide your weakness by ignoring it. You exploit it, either by transforming it into strength or by weaponizing the illusion of it. Psychology confirms this path. When others perceive you as vulnerable, they lower their guard. They approach you with arrogance, assuming you are harmless. And in that moment, when their defenses are down, you strike with precision. It is the art of playing prey until the predator leans too close. Think of your own life. Have you ever been underestimated? Did someone dismiss you as too soft, too quiet, too unprepared? What if, instead of protesting, you leaned into that perception, let them think you were weak, until their overconfidence gave you the upper hand? This is not fantasy. It is strategy. A quiet voice in a meeting makes others speak too freely, revealing their true thoughts. A mask of naivety invites rivals to underestimate your awareness. The appearance of mercy lulls opponents into exposing vulnerabilities they would otherwise protect. Weakness, if disguised carefully, becomes a trap. But this path requires cold discipline. You cannot indulge your weakness while trying to wield it. You must know its exact nature, its edges, its dangers. Only then can you turn it outward. Consider Hannibal. His army was smaller, his resources thinner than Rome's. By every measure, he was the weaker force. Yet he used that perception to lure Rome into overextending, ambushing them at Cannae with brilliance that made history. Rome saw weakness. Hannibal delivered annihilation. So too in daily life. The quiet worker, ignored by superiors, studies the system until he rises suddenly with mastery no one expected. The underestimated student, overlooked in competition, waits until the decisive moment to strike, catching rivals unprepared. The soft-hearted, who learn to channel their compassion strategically, inspire loyalty stronger than fear alone could ever bind. The lesson is clear. You must not only recognize your weakness, you must decide its fate. Will it be your executioner or your accomplice? You can harden it. Turn fear into vigilance. Turn doubt into caution. Turn desire into ambition. Every flaw contains a hidden use if you are ruthless enough to shape it. And if it cannot be hardened, then it must be masked. Your rivals cannot exploit what they cannot see. Show them strength while you quietly fortify your soft places. Or show them weakness deliberately, so they grow arrogant enough to stumble into your trap. This is the essence of power. Nothing is wasted. not even your flaws. Especially not your flaws. Most men lose because they believe power belongs only to the perfect. They wait until they are flawless to act. And in their waiting, they are devoured. But those who rise understand that power belongs not to the flawless, but to the ruthless. The ones who use everything, even weakness, as a weapon. So I ask you, will your weakness destroy you, or will it be the mask that blinds your enemies? Will it be the crack in your armor, or the bait in your trap? Choose carefully, because the world will not wait for you to decide, and your rivals are already watching. Now the question becomes, when the trap is set and weakness is weaponized, how do you ensure no one sees the strings you are pulling? That is where true mastery begins. Power is never given, it is taken, quietly, invisibly, while others believe they remain in control. The weak expose themselves, the virtuous disarm themselves, the merciful invite betrayal, and the unguarded betray themselves before their enemies ever arrive. To rule, you must understand this. Control is most effective when unseen. When people obey without realizing they are being guided. When they believe your decisions were their own. The greatest strategist does not shout commands. He whispers desires into the hearts of others until they move exactly as he intended. Ask yourself, are you the one moving pieces, or are you the piece being moved? Are you the hand on the strings, or the puppet dangling from them? Now I turn to you. Leave your thoughts below. Tell me where you've seen hidden power at work. Subscribe if you seek more lessons in strategy and survival, and share this video with those who still believe control requires force. The truth is darker. The truth is subtler. The truth is Machiavellian.